I don't like it that you gave Megan the same music.
I'm limited. I spent time recording new music for Megan, and I did it all right. You sit here quietly, and there was nothing. So I'm out of practice on this thing. So hopefully some people are watching. The Facebook groups is no longer allowing things to stream. Oh, the cat just came in. Stream to it. So okay, I have to move. I got to move keyboards because this cat is going to walk on everything. Anyways, Facebook group doesn't let us put stream to anything to it anymore. So if you're watching this live, it's because you learned to click on the link, and there's a cat walking in front of me. I'm sorry. Hey, come on, eat it. Professional here. So we're having to actually click on the link. So I don't even know if we're going to have anyone watching us right now, but the replay will be up, and hopefully people can see it. So a couple things I wanted to start off real quick with you. In the last 2 months now, or 3 months, you've had Todd on your Zoom thing twice to speak about the same thing, and me times.
You're not.
Huh?
We got Todd because he was speaking in Tampa, and then he was back by popular demand. They love
him. And my demand is same as
no,
as how many
times you need to figure out what you need to talk about, because the ladies really liked you in Tampa too.
So here's the thing with Todd.
Jeff is so handsome.
Stop. Would you listen to me? Okay. I know that I've seen Todd, by the way. Here's the thing with Todd. I'm working with someone right now that is just very much like Todd. And I actually referred this person to get Todd's book, but it was interesting. It's a different, and I kind of like what you're doing. I am so sorry. Come on, beat it. See, it loses my track. Someone like Todd is someone that the difference from me, where I was at kind of a bottom, where I was, drinking a case and a half a day.
Right.
And this other person is like Todd. It was like not destroying their life, but not heading in the direction they want their life to go.
Right.
And I think I needed to be, I was in my 20s when I was at that point.
Right.
And it just kept going. But there's people and that's a hard one for a lot of people, because it's like, hey, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not going to call myself that. I'm not, I haven't lost my job, my family, I'm just not liking the direction this is taking me.
Yeah.
And that's what
he had his days. And also, Susie's kind of like that, right? Pretty athletic person that, has run marathons, and, she was tired of celebrating, a run with a drink.
Yeah.
Where, mine was a little more, I'd say I had a little more of a rock bottom than that.
Yeah, but you had the smoothest boots of anyone.
Totally.
You had wrinkle-free boots, which
that's right.
I love that story.
I should just get like fake wine bottles, or maybe non-alcoholic wine bottles, and put them back on my boots. Because seriously, I've had my two sets of boots for like 10 years.
I think you could make money, even though, alcohol still sells, and you could sell, the wine boot de-wrinkler or support system, whatever.
That's right. Well, we're gonna have Jessica Sealander, who is the founder of Joyous Wines, out of Seattle. We're doing she's gonna be our keynote speaker in Seattle for Sober in the City on September.
Is she the one that is involved with wineries, and her family? Mm-hmm. Her family's involved with wine?
No, about 15 years ago, Jessica Sealander, she's the founder and owner of Joyous Wines, non-alcoholic wine. There wasn't anything out there. So she's kind of a pioneer in the field, because as you remember, about 4 or 5 years ago, when we decided to stop drinking, there was O'Doul's, and you might as well put a freaking light on your head, alcoholic over here, right?
Well, for wine, alcohol, you had Welch's.
Or what is it, Martinelli sparkling cider?
Yeah, so there you go, some grape juice or whatever.
So her wines are really good, and so yeah, I could put joyous bottles in my boots now. That might be some nice advertising for her.
We
She's
I went to a funeral today of someone that was an AA person, but someone that's got a long-term sobriety, and just some things it wasn't related to alcohol, but took him down today. It was kind of tough, but
Mhm.
um and I lost completely where I was going with it. And I
Oh,
was
and
talking probably about age. I was talking,
I was
but
completely off the wall by thinking, "Oh my god, that is the final rock bottom."
yeah.
You know? That's
Well,
it.
Brian Biggerstaff, who was a good friend of mine from a little bit way back, he joined us tonight. Brian, it's great to hear from you. You need to reach out. It's good to talk to you. But two things I want to want to go into the topic here in a minute, but I do want to bring up uh, what what we're doing. Todd Kinney, who is the guest that you've invited twice now to be on your show without inviting me once, is he and Ken Middleton, author of Bamboozled, and Jason LaChance, um, who is a podcaster that does. The four of us are forming a group that we're going to gear towards men, but it's going to be kind of men, not I guess in recovery, but talk a little more business type and the dealings with life. And
Mhm.
we're going to actually it'll be shared across the board, but we're going to be through LinkedIn, which is a lot of business professionals. And even though this is open for anyone, it'll
That's
probably be a
really
little more
smart.
geared towards women. And we've got already five fairly well-known guests, one that's extremely well-known, lined up that I think we'll do probably once a month of these things.
Mhm.
But I'm excited about it because I think it's going to be um, a great source. We've been asked in your group. I'm gonna bring them on. We're gonna come on
Uh-huh.
your side of alcohol and talk about this. But Todd and myself both, and Ken and Jay, we've all been asked, how do I reach my husband? How to reach my spouse, my boyfriend, my brother, my friend, whatever
Right.
the case may be. There's a lot of, what is out there that I can throw to the men. And instead of saying, hey, I want you to go, honey, I want you to go to an AA meeting tomorrow night and stand up in front of a bunch of people, it'll be
Mhm.
kind of a way for people to kind of relate to, understand what's going on in their lives and how alcohol does. It doesn't have to destroy us to destroy us. It's like, I didn't lose my job. I didn't lose my family. I didn't lose a lot of things because of my drinking, no DUIs. So it's like, oh, well, you didn't really have that rock bottom. Yeah, I had a devastating, I lost so much potential. I lost so many things that might have been, could have been. And I'm very fortunate, but yeah, alcohol stole who knows what from me. It stole
Mhm.
time from my kids, which is devastating.
Yeah.
It stole time from my partner, my relationship. It
Right.
stole time from myself. It stole my dreams. So even though none of my devastation is on the front page of the newspaper, it's frickin' it just it rocked my world.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're going to do. So we're going to come on and talk about it, but I think it's going to be a great avenue, maybe a kind of low pressure way to bring men into this world and get them talking about it.
That's
So
awesome.
I'm excited about
Is it something that you guys are gonna do a membership for, or
no, I think it's going to be it'll be a free, it's just, I think we're going to have topics about whether it's, doing business socially. Because one of the things, even for myself as being in sales, is my business was made or is made still
over
taking
beer?
people out.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
take them out to dinner, and now when, they say, hey, let's go out. Yeah. Well, let's go out and get some beers tonight. And at that moment, do I say, "Oh, I have a drinking problem," but no, that kills the mood. This
Right.
relationship is how my business works. Do I wait to tell them later? So it's very scary of how to handle that situation, because now my customers, they're used to the fun partying, Jeff. Um,
Right.
and he's not going to be there. And now it's going to be boring. And we're going to just sit around and watch him drink milk. You know, that no one wants. So I'm going to lose potential business because I can't entertain like I did. There's a lot of,
That's such a much needed service. I think that's terrific. So any way I can help promote you, let me know.
yeah, we're gonna bring them on, and I think it'll just be a good you know, like I said, once a month, but we'll have all sorts of avenues, but totally free. I think it'll work out. But I want to get to the topic real quick because Brian and I both were talking about life is good. We're starting to feel good about ourselves. And then once again, as usual, you bring up something about how I'm flawed in my life. And now it's about external validation.
Right.
And I want to bring it up because you and I were talking about this in a roundabout way. And I realized that's who I've always been, is external validation. I feel good about myself if other people like me. I feel good about myself if I make them laugh. How others perceive me is a how that determines my level. And I don't know what is wrong with that, of wanting people to like me and wanting people, why is that a problem? So I want to hear, what is external validation? And why can it be, I guess, a problem for some of us?
Yeah, I don't think it's a problem for everyone. You know, and again, I think there's a balance, right? It's not to say we don't need people in our lives. You know, it's not to say that we do. We just need to worry less about what they think about us, right? So I think that that's a big difference. So, and I think sometimes, especially for men, correct me if I'm wrong, but dependency on someone else, your happiness depending on someone else is really not a weakness. It's actually healthy as long as you keep it balanced, right? You for me, the reason I didn't have, a lot, the reason why I depended on other people a lot of times was because of what happened to me as a kid. I mean, and the drinking, when the drinking amped up. So like in my last decade of drinking, I felt my self-worth, like my self-esteem erode to the point where I began to literally despise myself. And I think part of that is because every morning for the last, 4 years, maybe I would, drive to work in the morning and say, today, Peggy, you're not going to have a drink tonight. You're going to go all day with having a drink. And then finding my car, driving into the parking lot to pick up my Sauvignon Blanc on the way home, and literally drinking that bottle, at least half of it, on the way home on the frontage road. So I couldn't rely on myself for validation because I hated myself.
It's a good, I get it, because I couldn't give myself, I was not happy with my production in life because of the drinking. Well, even just because of, maybe it was related to the drinking or because of it, but I wasn't doing the job I could have done at work. I wasn't taking care of myself physically like I wanted to. There wasn't a lot to be proud of to myself. So making other people laugh
Exactly
gave me value. Doing things for others so that they appreciated me and thanked me and loved me or whatever it was. I would do favors for people without, at the drop of a hat, just to get that, hey, thanks, or that appreciation or that acknowledgement. So I'm sure it's because I couldn't give that to myself. I was probably starved for it, and I couldn't give it to myself, so I had to find it somewhere else.
What's interesting is that you and I have such different backgrounds. Like you grew up in a pretty, loving home, pretty loving parents. I think the difference for me is that I grew up in, with a lot of violence in my home, and then lost my parents at age 20. So, I think that it's really hard when you don't even have the external people to, sort of be a cheerleader for you. Does that make sense? Like
No.
I didn't have any adults in my life at that time that were validating me, right? And so certainly I looked to other people other than my family to validate who I was as a person, right? And then then I got divorced, which was, another thing that people don't do. That's another moral failure. And I became a stepmother. And, there's so much of that where you're like a second class citizen. No fault to my stepdaughters at all. It's just being a stepmother. I don't know anyone in my entire world that loves being a stepmother, because you're like a second class citizen. So, you know, um, where I got my validation was teaching at social work at UC Davis, because, my validation was reading my evaluations, that were sent to me every week, because I wasn't getting
Oh,
any
I would.
validation at
I,
home.
if they were positive, I would reread them 100 times. It was like my as you said this, I realized, and this isn't it's just about Jeff's need, but I the validation I got was not the validation at home, was not the validation I wanted.
Right.
I wanted to be validated by cool people. And I love my folks now, and this hurts to even say it, but I didn't think they were cool at the time. My
Mhm.
dad, um, he was not the macho athlete, whatever. And it kills me that I look at that. He was
Mhm.
a surgeon, and I should have been proud as hell of him. But
No
I
shit.
wanted to be, yeah. Well, now I am, but at the time,
Right.
I wanted to be, I wanted the popular validation from the popular people, validation from the athletes, from the cool kids, from all those kinds of things.
Mhm.
And I wasn't getting it. I was getting validation, but the validation I was getting at home wasn't the validation I wanted, because that's
Right.
not who I wanted to be. I wanted to be.
Well, and I
I've
don't
always
think any, and in reality, I don't think any teenager really does. I mean, there are a few people that say, "Oh my gosh, the most important person to me in my life when I was a teenager was my parents." But that, to me, that's not the norm. It really is a time in our lives that we start to become independent, individualized. And anybody that liked my mom, I didn't like them. Everyone liked my mom, but I made sure that I didn't like her, because everyone else did. And I see a little bit of that with Lindsay, with me. um I just, how you grow up is so crazy, right? That I didn't have the validation I should have gotten, so I was, pretty much seeking it other
right.
places.
Well,
And that wasn't healthy for me.
it was it, I wanted to be validated for being someone that I wasn't.
Yeah.
I wanted to. I didn't feel like a cool kid, so I wanted to be validated by the cool kids, because then I felt in that way. So okay, so strike one, two, and three for me. So how's the turnaround of that, and how do you
I
change that?
think
Well, I guess here's the thing: when I was drinking, in my mind, I became the cool kid. So I
right.
could validate myself when I was drinking. I could hang around with the cool kids and felt like I fit in when I was drinking. So it was during that time that I probably could give myself validation at that
Mhm,
point, because in my mind, I'm hanging. My buddies are the ones that I didn't feel like were my buddies during the day.
mhm. Yeah, I mean, the we all wanna be taken care of, right? Validated and encouraged and given support. So when we receive these things from others and use them to nurture us, I didn't know how. I didn't have words. Like, I was so much stuff happened to me as a kid. I didn't even know what an emotion was. I didn't even know what grief was. Like, when you're 19, what is grief, right? Um and there's a healthy thing that happens with normal development, and that's called interdependence. We're not, we it's a beautiful ebb and flow, like in relationships, where there's a given, you give and you receive, right? And we're social human beings, so we're always seeking that out. It's something that we seek out on a daily basis. It's really necessary for our survival, and it's who we are as the human species. When it gets unhealthy is that intense need for someone else's approval. And I think you and I talked about this before, is that I think I even talked about it in my book, that I could get along with drug dealers and kings. Like I was a total shapeshifter. You
Yep.
know, you want Peggy to be this way? Oh, I'll be that way. I can be that way. And I got so bad that I was never who I was. Right? I thought that was actually a positive thing about Peggy is that I could get along with kings and gangbangers, right? And I learned that it was nothing to brag about. And when I learned that it was nothing to brag about, that's when I stopped drinking, because for a long time I lost myself of who Peggy was and trying to please other people.
You know, in my job as sales, I have to adapt. I deal with
Mhm.
nerds, and when I am with them, I play a nerd. I deal with athletes, and when I'm with them, I talk athlete. Whatever the case, for me to be successful in my job, I have to get them to like me, which in turn can get them to like that relationship's important. So
Mhm.
I do shapeshift or whatever you're calling it, you know, to that. So I almost feel like in that situation, me just being me, which I don't even know who the hell I am, to be honest with you, sometimes, um, I could lose business just on the professional side of my life by not shape shifting into who I'm dealing with.
Yeah, but I'm not so sure that's total shape shifting because you were a football player in college, you got a full ride. That's part of who you are, and if you use who you are, your love of sports, to sell, to use it to your advantage, and I think it's more the people that, and that's genuine. I think that's what people love about you. I was just saying that, I know you don't like being the center of attention, but you and Todd were two of the most popular people that are sober in the city of Tampa. And that's because you have a genuineness to you that is really attractive. And I think that genuineness really comes through. But you can't be a genuine person when you're drinking. That's when you're really not who you are.
Well, I don't realize it to me, but when I now that I'm in events that I'm not drinking and seeing people that are drinking, uh, you completely see people acting that playing a part that they're not in reality.
Yeah. I mean,
People,
it's so easy and you can just smell the bullshit, right? Like that. And
so what is the danger though of seeking external validation? Is it when it disappears, you're left with nothing?
yeah, of course. If like I said before, if you get so lost in other people's opinion, you lose yourself, then it's not healthy. But we all feel better. If somebody came up to you, and said, "Hey, Jeff, you're looking good today." Everyone likes to hear that. But you aren't 100% dependent on that other person's comments to live your life every day, right?
How do
Because you
how
have some internal core strength where not it's not bragging or being conceited. You know that you're a pretty nice guy. So it's a balance. We need both in our lives. We need external validation, but the validation eventually has to come from yourself. I think one of the examples is that when I stopped drinking because my daughter said, "Mom, you have to do something about your drinking or you won't be able to have a relationship you want with me, Jason, and the kids." So that was July 11th, 2019. And for the first probably 2.5 years, I wanted everyone around me to kind of give me an attaboy. Look at you, you're not drinking. And I was seeking Paul's validation. I was seeking Lindsay's validation. And somewhere in that 2.5 years, because you and I both have worked really hard, I started becoming sober for me, not for them, but for me. And that's to me when it stuck. Like I know internally I'm never going to drink again. But up to that point, I was kind of pissed off at everyone. Like, because for my family, at least, I don't think it was the same for you, but for my family, I was the problem. To
Well,
this day, no one's going to say, well, I had something to do with why you were drinking. And certainly Paul did. Certainly, I drank at him often, right?
so how do you on a scale determine where you are and determine if you're living an unhealthy situation or too dependent upon external validation? And then the hard one is, how do you shift that balance?
I think, obviously being alcohol free is a huge part of that. I mean, because you actually know who you are. I mean, I didn't know who I was until I stopped drinking.
Well, I didn't like the guy in the mirror for a long
Mhm.
time when I quit drinking.
I couldn't even look in the mirror.
Yeah. And I'm just now saying I'm actually pretty proud of who I see.
Yeah.
I know what he's gone through. I'm learning to know who he is, and there's not the disgust that I had on day one or day minus one.
But in the beginning, I quit for them. In the end, I quit for me. And I think that shift is really important because if you stay quit for other people, to me, it's like being a dry drunk. You're not doing the work that it takes to have long term.
Maybe that's why I do this little show with you, because when I have worked with other people and we've done something like this, and you get someone that says, "Hey, thanks, that made my night," or you hit on something that was really important.
Yeah.
My husband caught your thing, and we're talking. It's better because of that. That's a that's an ego boost that's like no other. So,
But also, you're being of service to other people. It's like you're going out and going, I'm doing this because I want that. I'm doing this show with Peggy only because I want other people to tell me how great I am. That's not true. It's not it's opposite now. That what's opposite is now we're of service to people. We do this because we want to help other people. And the validation we get is genuine because we honestly, you get a dopamine hit when you help other people.
100%. I mean,
I mean, being of service to others, you can ask anybody it's in recovery. It's like what keeps us alcohol free is being of service to others.
well, there's things, and you hear me use that analogy of filling your wallet.
Mhm.
You know,
I used to make fun of you for that, but go ahead. It's a pretty
no,
good one.
the whole thing. If I have an empty wallet and a thief, someone says, "Give me your wallet," take it. I don't care. There's nothing in it. I'll get a new one. But if I've worked all day and earned money and have put that money, I've sweated it out or worked for it, earned it, and it's in my wallet. Same guy says, "Give me your wallet." I might put up a fight for it because
Mhm.
I've got something that I is special or means something to me. And I use that analogy in my recovery because at the end of the day, if I get up and I don't shower, I don't brush my teeth, I don't make the bed, whatever the thing is, I don't take care of myself, I don't put in a good day's work.
Mhm.
5 o'clock comes around and the hey, let's have a beer or not. Who cares? I got nothing to lose. I haven't done jack today. So what does it matter? But if I do the right things and take care of myself and other people and fatten my wallet through the day, at 5 o'clock, I got something I don't want to
I love that.
necessarily give
Yeah,
up.
I think that's a really good analogy. I really like that a lot.
But that is the service of others. Those are the things that, you know, and I don't feel good because they say thank you. I feel
Mhm.
good because I know that I've done. It feels good to help other people,
Yeah,
and
I
I don't
don't
want to
even
lose
I agree, and also the comments that mean a lot to me, and I'm sure this is true for you too. Wow, I thought I was by myself. I didn't think anybody else felt that way,
Hmm.
right? I thought I was all alone. I thought my husband was the only one that, thought I had a moral failure, And in the recovery world, we really get some nice validation from each other. If somebody that's a normal drinker says to me, "I'm so proud of you," I want to kick them in the balls. But if you say you're proud of me, that means something to me. That's validation that means something to me
Yeah,
because
and that
they
is,
don't know what I've been through.
and there, you don't have to be in groups. You don't have to do things to get sober. You don't have to do that for recovery. But um, the validation I get on my own sobriety and recovery, I don't get it from the people that don't get it, that aren't in. But when I'm in a group of people that are doing
Mhm.
this battle with me, then I feel it and believe it and accept it. It's not that false of way to go, and for people that have they don't understand. And that's, I don't want to tell people you need a group, you need to be a part of these things, but wow, I do.
Mhm. I do too. Obviously, my husband thinks I'm having an affair with sobriety.
And Todd Kinney,
Yeah.
the grandkids think
I
it's
love
me.
Todd. Todd actually, I love him dearly, but he feels more like a son to me in real reality. So that feels yucky if but definitely a lot of the ladies in my at ZPE want to order a Todd. They like his book, but they want to order a Todd.
He's such a good guy, and he's a
Love
lawyer.
it.
You know, he's got the career going for him too. Brings it
Mhm.
all to the table. Well, it's interesting because we started talking about this, and I didn't get it at first, but I realized that alcohol stole my ability to give me any self validation.
Yeah. You don't like yourself when you're drinking. I mean, you do if you're drunk, but
And I would do anything for anyone to get validation from them. And it is interesting now because I still enjoy getting a compliment or something,
oh,
but
sure.
that's icing on the cake because I can do the cake myself right now just because of what I'm doing for myself, how I'm taking care of myself, how I'm, whether it's the service work or whatever I'm doing. But yeah, it's true. I can survive on my own with it.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's a great thing.
All right. Well, like I said, we're gonna with Todd, Ken Middleton, Jason LaChance, we're gonna be starting kind of a men's thing. Derek, it's good to see you. Randall, good to have you here. Um, Brian, some of the guys as well. But this is gonna be on, and we're gonna talk about it here in your group. And we're gonna be doing this like once a month, but it's gonna be not so much as initial sobriety, but just talking about life and
Really nice for the four of you to come on, ZPE for a panel and talk about that.
yeah, well,
A lot of ladies have drinking husbands, and they asked Todd about that tonight.
yeah, I get asked, a lot, and the bottom, for example, it's important to get our view from it because I yell at him, I yell at him, I yell at him, and he just won't stop, and I don't get it. It's like you don't understand when you yell at me, you're giving me validation to drink because now it's like, God, she just bitches all the time. If she didn't do it, I probably wouldn't drink. You're giving me a reason. It's a false one, but it's enough for me to justify it of myself. It was when that gave me power, that gave me control over it. But when
Mhm.
my family just finally said, "You're on your own, do what you want," if you want to go this path, go, but we don't want to be a part of it.
Yeah,
Suddenly, I was stuck with only myself.
right.
That hurt because then I was alone. There was no one to blame. Oh, it's because you're complaining. It was how can you be mad at them when they're just loving you and just saying, but we can't deal with this.
Yeah.
And it was like the more you say no and fight them, that just gives me a reason. God, if you were married to her, you drink too. All she does, and if she'd get off my back, I probably wouldn't. like, well, of course that's why, that's not why he drank, but that gives him a reason to do so.
Right.
So I love the idea because there's a lot of, I think with this panel, you get kind of the guys, I think it'll help, like you said, the women that have spouses, boyfriends, brothers, fathers, children, whatever, and are looking to understand or how to approach and how
I'm
to
really
bring them
looking
to show
forward
them what
to seeing the four of you together because I mean I don't know the one guy, but I certainly know the other three, and I'm a huge, huge fan. So I'm gonna go get some dinner. I've been
all right,
working
sounds
all
good.
day.
Oh, clear. There it is. Clear-minded roundtable.
I love it.
Clear-minded roundtable is going to be the group.
CMR. I like that.
Thank you. I think no, Ken Middleton came up with that.
Love it. Yeah, he's good for that. So
He's great.
all right, my
Well,
friend. We'll
good to
talk
see you
to
soon, and
you.
good seeing everyone tonight. And love you, Peggy.
Love you too.
Take care, everyone. See ya.